like students of that, they have blocked Empire Road going down to Auckland Park, and
Oh,
we we were on time and we still started traffic.
yes.
And I think was calling him, so picking up
Yes.
the phone. Here we are.
Okay, no, I mean, it's completely understandable. We'd rather everybody, just take it easy and not get super excited and just make their way to a quiet corner and we'll continue the conversation. But yes, we're talking Maibuya E Africa, which is happening at the South African State Theatre. Exciting times because this is your fourth edition that is returning to the State Theatre.
Yes, it's the first edition, and I'm so excited because usually, it's on that we do this concert during the historical month of South Africa. So now we are doing it December because we want to honor reconciliation month.
Mm, mm.
And so we are cultural tourism.
Yeah, I mean, interesting themes and very pertinent themes as well. To be highlighting as part of the musical conversation are these themes around cultural diversity, unity, and South Africa's evolving story. What kind of role does music play in sort of galvanizing a conversation around that?
Yeah, well, music has always played a and uh, contribution to society, and I believe that as musicians, we are the voice of the soul of the nation, and getting these musicians all the creative musicians on the lineup is for them to convey the message that it was conveyed back in the day. So now we would like to recall that music that we as we have that we,
Mm,
so during with the Tambuni and Sudanese Shibuna, calling that music uh, Ella Makeba and
mm,
then Langa Magufu is going to be like it's
mm,
really like he didn't sound of he has forgiven, but why?
mm.
Why we not? So now this is kind of the song, the message that we would like to deliver
Yeah, of course, I'm told that we've managed to hook the living legend on the phone,
okay.
and I'd like to rope him into this conversation before
Yes.
we go to the headlines. How are you doing, Brahot Sticks?
Hello, hello, hello. Hello, Billy. Billy. Billy with the why? Why are you lying to say you've been trying to get hold of me? Well, I tried calling you. I want a phone. I said, well, no, you want I didn't contact you. I still hold the hot respect of
Let's let's do
your
this. Billy, let me get you off the hook so that you are not reprimanded live on air. But Bra Hot Sticks,
Yes,
thank you so
darling.
much for being part of this conversation. I mean, you've had such a long and wonderful evolving career. Um,
No, you are me.
thank you. Let's talk quickly. We'll come back after the break in like a minute and a half, but quickly, let's just talk about your willingness to participate in a concert like this, especially consider it's an intergenerational exchange. This.
It is. It is most definitely. He and I had a very relationship, and it doesn't. Uh, Billy and I have almost
Mm,
uh, played, played really part of me. Always feel that I can make meaningful contribution to some of it. And we must be commended for having so thought about the role that music plays actually guides your decisions, as he has already shared.
mm,
The lyrics to this song. They sound like it's actually adding value to what this
mm.
and I'm just great privilege at my much.
Absolutely. Let's pause it here for a second as we take the headline news, and then we'll come back and continue
Thank
our conversation.
you.
Thank you, Bridget. On the news headlines, Minister in the presidency, Kumbuzan Chabeni, has played down the absence of representation from the US and the G20 summit to be held in Johannesburg on the 22nd and 23rd of this month. Zimbabwean politician Job Sikala and his uncle Alexander Tema have been granted 10,000 rand bail each by the Pretoria Magistrates Court, and former Guruleni Division head Xolani Nxiza has accused the municipality's top management of doing everything they could to protect suspended acting EMPD Police Chief Julius Mkhwanazi. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. Bridget Masinga, weekdays on the Full Circle.
So they are collaborating with a host of other incredibly gifted, renowned South African musicians to bring you the Maibuye E-Africa concert, The Rebirth of Ubuntu. It's coming back for its fourth edition this Reconciliation Month at the South African State Theatre. And of course, the composer and guitarist Billy Monama is behind this festivity. Sipho Hot Sticks Mabuze, who needs absolutely no introduction, a living South African legend, makes up the stellar artist lineup. And we can't talk Hot Sticks. We can't talk around the celebrating the cultural diversity and the unity of South Africa and South Africa's evolving story without, just glimpsing into your career that has spanned decades, because you are one of those musicians that become very central in telling the story of South Africa, particularly during the times of apartheid leading into liberation.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that recognition. I guess when you're in that kind of space to work, and you're not divorced from uh, your own people.
Mm.
I experienced it with people. I'm firstly in for I'm what guy, and my contribution to society is different. Albeit with make contribution. And my role was to actually add value to eradication of apartheid through music. So I'm grateful that that recognition is received. Not always forget that it is that has
Mm.
um, the art, the arts are central to every success of a country. And if the arts are divorced from very few here, as Julie said, music voice,
Mm.
not just an a voice. And of course, there are all the other singers who find themselves where they are merely about it. And we do hope that level of consciousness such that who will recognize what they play. So my role was to add value to what very much and had brothers, those who came to made a difference in the way conscious voices of our people, around the world.
Mm. Billy, I'll tell you a little observation I made. I recently emceed a daytime festival where my favorite old man, Bra Hot Sticks, was one of the headline acts, and it was so beautiful for me to sit in the crowd because he came on last, Billy, and I went into the crowd to watch his performance, and it was so beautiful to see a whole host of young people singing along to his songs on their feet, standing, dancing, thoroughly like enamored by this legend that was giving them everything. But also, it was a wonderful exchange because in your hot sticks as well, in your performance as well, hot sticks, you also brought out some of the, the younger music. You sort of let them know that you are still with it. You still know who's top of the charts, and I think this speaks very much to what you're trying to do with this concert, Billy, this exchange, this intergenerational dialogue between the likes of the Hot Sticks and the Langa Mavusos, but also exchanging audiences to ensure that the legacy of a Hot Sticks continues to grow and grows parallel to that of younger musicians.
Thank you so much. And I would like to say that I believe that we are the custodians of the for us. The memories should be kept by us and people that are not they are available on online and hope to 6th of December.
Mm, mhm. Hot sticks, so for you performing with youngsters, does that keep you fresh, keep you in tune, as the kids say, keeps you with it?
Well, you know how they young people, you can only learn from them. And I've learned, when you play with young people, they energize you.
Mm,
So the 6th of December will be an energy day more than anything else, you know, and we will be energized by people, play such as young you know, the array of the array of brilliant art
mm,
is just unquestionable. Yes, right? And they have brought knowledge to the South African psyche as
mm,
well. So it's important that uh, this Maibuya has been concentrated in Johannesburg,
yeah.
and people out there are crying for it. People are saying, why is it concentrated in Gauteng? Sorry, in Johannesburg,
Mm,
when actually it's about Africa. It, so I think it was wise of that. Okay, let's take it outside Johannesburg. Let's go to Pretoria
mm,
and Swane and more as many people. We don't want people to like what
yeah.
turning out and when there are other things like South African and the place really has to and I'm really looking to it.
And Billy, I think the State Theatre is a wonderful venue because for a very long time the State Theatre almost became a white elephant, and now there seems to be this sort of this drive to activate it and bring a new energy into the space.
Actually, yesterday I was speaking with the newly appointed about I do I do engage with holders of the other like theaters and so forth and see how can we revive that again, artistic again. So it's gonna be a little of work.
Mm,
When I went there, not what it used to be, but we try, revive it again. A place whereby people they look forward to watch it.
mm,
And people of Victoria, some of them, who don't know us, I just want to make it clear that this is the Bible ethical that is the rebirth of a movement. We are not affiliated with that political party. It's not that we are a concert that it is on the we are the concert that on our first edition, we have a track record. Those who don't know us, they must ask around. Just take, just take it as stolen image, Bill.
I mean, I guess the clarity had to be made.
Yeah.
Hot sticks, how do you remain, as we wind down the conversation, how do you ensure and remain relevance and your ability also? I mean, I heard you talking the other day to a young musician. You were doing a news interview, and you were talking about the fact that you've had control of your music for,
Yeah.
since inception. How do you remain relevant and your ability to also exploit new models? Because the business of music has changed and rapidly so in the last decade.
It's very important that as musicians we interact with different things. We learn from young people. They learn from us. That's the only way that music can grow, become relevant. And certainly in my space, I've always tried to learn from many young and listen to what they are saying. And without acting so we are custodians of what great music. I think
Mm,
that's one of the biggest mistakes some of the musicians make, leaving because they have garnered popularity and they become custodians of what is relevant. We must allow evolution, learn from evolution, young musicians. I mean, if you some of the younger people today, how the world is coming onto South African music. You can only sound better. You can only learn from that experience. So I guess that's what contributes to my relevance in all
Mm.
the times that I become a musician.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a privilege to have spoken to you both. We'll have a proper full sit down with you, Hot Sticks, at some point. We'll bring you into the studio and we'll really reflect on this legacy. It was Sipho Hot Sticks Mabuze, who is a renowned South African living legend, and of course, Billy Monama, guitarist, composer, researcher, and scholar of all things music. Maibuya e Africa, the concert, the rebirth of Ubuntu, is coming back for its fourth edition at the South African State Theatre. It is 20 to 2 o'clock. We're going to hit a quick pause here, come back, get into our kids' programming, and then we'll take the rest from there.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable. You receive up to 745,000 Rand worth of legal services per year. Our range of plans include cover for you, your spouse, children, and extended family. Plans include cover for civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Whether it's protection orders, gender-based violence, uncontested divorce, or poor service, your Clientele Legal lawyer will be there to assist you. Our services are convenient. Simply pick up the phone and call your lawyer or send us an email and we'll get back to you. All plans include a bail benefit of up to 5,000 Rand and we'll go to the police station and pay it for you. Plus, Clientele Legal offers you 24-hour telephonic legal advice. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Is online. Standard rates apply.
Summer just got extra with Vodacom's free gifts on summer deals, like the Samsung Galaxy A56 on a 1 gig red core plan for just 399 per month over 36 months. Save 1,080 and get a free Samsung charger worth 499 and Samsung Galaxy Buds Core worth 999, redeemable via Samsung Members app. Available in-store only. T's and C's apply. Further together, Vodacom.
It's Black November at MTN. A whole month of great deals. Get a 100 gig MTN Mobile Internet Ruby plan, now just 319 per month for 12 months. And for just 20 Rand extra per month, add a 4G pocket router and connect up to 10 devices. Plus, get a free 10 gig startup bundle, redeemable on the MTN app. So don't miss out. Visit an MTN store or mtn.co.za now. T's and C's apply. Today, we make moves. MTN.
SAFM invites you to our third annual public lecture delivered by Chancellor of the Nelson Mandela University, Dr. Geraldine Fraser Muliketi. The lecture will take place on the 27th of November at the Indaba Hotel Spa and Conference Center in Fourways, Johannesburg, under the theme Confronting Inequality, Corruption and Unemployment, Rebuilding South Africa's Social Contract for Inclusive and Sustainable Growth. You can secure your seat by simply emailing us at rsvp@safm.co.za.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide.
Attention, everybody. Diabetes affects millions of people in South Africa. Akwele is inviting everyone to unite for a healthier tomorrow. Our mission? To beat diabetes together. How? Get tested. Choose water. Eat healthy. Get active. Every bottle of Akwele natural spring water you buy makes a difference. Together, let's beat diabetes.
Whether it is a CCMA referral, problems with a mechanic, unfair blacklisting, or an uncontested divorce, Clientele Legal offers professional legal services to all South Africans. Our plans are affordable, and you receive up to 745,000 Rand worth of legal services per year. We cover civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Our nationwide legal teams are standing by to support you 24 hours a day. Plus, all plans include a 5,000 Rand bail benefit. Join today. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Extraordinary doesn't just happen. It's built with every connection, every innovation, every leap forward. With Vodacom Business, you get cloud that grows with your vision, security you can trust, AI that drives smarter decisions, and IoT that connects what truly matters. Visit www.vodacombusiness.co.za. Together, let's build the extraordinary. Vodacom Business. Further together. This program is brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives.
Hello, friends, and welcome to our Thursday edition of Kids Corner. I hope you're all having a wonderful day and using your words kindly today. Today, let's talk about the power of words and why some words are better left unsaid. What do you think makes a word a bad word or something we shouldn't say? How do you feel when someone uses rude or hurtful words toward you or others? Why do you think it's better to use kind and respectful words when we speak? What can you do if your friends start using bad words? Should you join in or walk away? And finally, how do good words and good manners make your school or home a happier place? Words can build people up or tear them down. So let's choose the ones that make others smile. All right, let's hear from some of our friends while you share your answers with the people next to you.
A word becomes a bad word when it is used to offend, hurt, or disrespect someone. When someone uses rude or hurtful words towards me, it makes me feel very disrespected and hurt. It's better to use kind and respectful words because it shows respect for others and for ourselves, and it can build trust and friendship. If your friends start using bad words, the right thing to do is to speak up and tell them that it's wrong and try and correct them rather than walking away or joining them. Good words and manners make home and school a happier place by creating safe places and respect, and it can encourage people and make them feel appreciated. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Ashley Kabamba. A bad word is something rude, mean, or disrespectful that can hurt someone else's feelings. When people use these kind of words, it spreads negativity and can make others feel sad or small. When someone speaks to me with respect, I feel valued and happy. But when they use hurtful words, it makes me feel uncomfortable. That's why I always try to speak kindly because our words have power. If my friends started using bad words, I'd rather walk away or remind them to speak nicely. Using good words and manners makes school and home feel more peaceful, positive, and full of love.
Hi everyone, my name is Elanda Mzobe. I am 12 years old. I think what makes a word a bad word, for a word to qualify as a swear word, it must have the potential to offend, crossing a cultural line into taboo territory. I feel very offended when someone uses rude or hurtful words towards me or others. I think it's better to use kind and respectful words when you speak because kind communication goes beyond mere words. It's about fostering understanding, empathy, and respect in our interactions. Even when you don't feel like being kind or respectful, you have to be. If your friend starts using bad words, you better walk out because that friend is not a good friend anymore. I think good words and manners make a school or home a happier place because everyone will feel respected and fits in. Thank you, everyone.
My name is Nzalo Mishwana and I'm 8 years old. A bad word is a word you're not allowed to say and talk about. I feel sad when someone says hurtful words to me because when we use kind words and respectful words, people feel respected and appreciated. When my friends use bad words, I would walk away. Good words and manners make my home and school a happier place because everyone will always be smiling and nice to each other.
Good day, friends. My name is Prophet King David Igena Eze, and I'm 11 years old and learning Proctor Public School. The thing that I think makes a bad word is bad behavior, because from bad behavior, somebody can swear or make a rude word. The way I feel when somebody uses hurtful words towards me or towards my loved ones, I feel sad for myself and for others. I feel so sorry for them because it's quite painful to receive such words. The reason I think it's better to use kind and respectful words when you speak is that we won't create monsters. Even in movies, super villains are mostly created by words or bad things that have happened to them. The thing I should do if my friends start using bad words, whether I join or walk away, I'll rather walk away because I would not get influenced by such friends. Good words and manner make my school or home a happier place by it not causing enemies and not causing villains in the family so that there won't be revenge and there will only be happiness. Thank you all.
Good day. My name is Monet Angel Ningavera. What I do think makes a word a bad word or something you shouldn't say is that some words that are bad are considered that due to their meaning, context, or just the cultural norms. How I feel when someone uses rude or hurtful words towards me is that it makes me feel sad, uncomfortable, and angry. As a person who has a sensitive heart, I basically now start having other thoughts about the person, or just think that they're rude as they are, or maybe that they're not really friendly towards others. Why I do think it's better to use kind and respectful words when you speak is that they promote a positive environment and good relationships, and it's also a good thing for us to use those kind words because you never know, you might make someone feel better after them having a bad day or a crisis, and you just speaking positively and respectfully to them can just make them feel better. What I can do if my friends start using bad words, I would just walk away and basically change the subject or just stay away from them. Good words and manners make your school and home a happier place because they create a welcoming atmosphere where everyone now feels respected and valued. Thank you and have a lovely day, and let us learn to be kind.
Hi everybody. My name is Kate. Something that might influence other children to use vulgar words is like when you're mad at someone for like hurting you, or you're frustrated or stressed, basically reasons why adults would also use these kind of words. And I don't really influence using bad words, and I personally don't use bad words because I think it's not really necessary. I could be mad, I could be really mad, and I wouldn't use the swear words. Things that could help children to stop saying swear words or things like talking to someone that could help you, like a parent, to understand these words and how cruel they could be to other people. And I think you should just learn to adapt on using good words, better words instead of swearing. And you can be mad and shout sometimes and not use a bad word because sometimes they're really unnecessary.
Thank you, friends. It's always great to hear from you. Today, let's talk about something that's very important: the power of words. Have you ever wondered what makes some words bad words, the kind we shouldn't say? Bad words are often rude, hurtful, or disrespectful, and they can make other people feel sad, angry, or embarrassed. Sometimes people use them when they're upset or trying to sound cool, but the truth is, unkind words never make us look or feel better. They only spread negativity. Think about how you feel when someone uses rude or hurtful words toward you or others. It doesn't feel nice, right? Words can hurt just as much as actions. They can leave invisible wounds that take time to heal. That's why it's always better to use kind, gentle, and respectful words when we speak. When we choose our words carefully and speak with kindness, we make others feel safe, loved, and respected. Saying things like please, thank you, I'm sorry, and great job can brighten someone's whole day. Kind words are powerful. They can comfort, encourage, and bring people together. But what if your friends start using bad words? That can be tricky. But you don't have to join in. Instead, you can walk away, stay quiet, or kindly remind them that there are better ways to express themselves. Sometimes being brave means choosing to do what's right even when others don't. Good words and good manners make your home and school much happier places. When everyone speaks with respect to teachers, parents, friends, and even younger children, it creates peace, teamwork, and understanding. So, friends, let's remember this. Words have power. Use them to build, not break. Speak kindly, listen with care, and spread positivity wherever you go. Because when we use good words, we make the world and everyone around us shine a little brighter. That's it for today, friends. See you next time.
This program was brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide.
Let's do it for the night. Now let me feel one more time. You're gonna be out all my love. 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 How you feel now? Been holding on too long, too long. Yeah, let me tell you one more time.
I mean, I was singing along. I really was. It is the hot sticks coming through with burnout. Just a few seconds to go before the top of the hour. We're going to dip into the 2 o'clock news with Ondel, and then we'll come back on the other side of the news and we'll decide where do we go, whether or not we're dipping into the ad hoc committee that is sitting in Cape Town, or we dip into the Matlanga Commission of Inquiry. But we'll update you on the other side of the 2 o'clock bulletin.
Thank you, Bridget. On the top stories, Ntshavheni speaks on absence of U.S. officials G20 summit, and about 200 Kenyan citizens joined Russian forces in Ukraine. For SAFM News, I'm Ondela, and a very good day. Understand the presidency, Khumbudzo Ntshavheni has played down the absence of representation from the U.S. at the G20 summit to be held in Johannesburg on the 22nd and 23rd of this month. Ntshavheni briefing the media in Pretoria today on the outcomes of yesterday's cabinet meeting. He says the U.S.'s absence from international conference is not unique to South Africa, citing the country's lack of participation in the G7 earlier this year. Ntshavheni says the work of the conference will continue despite the absence of the U.S.
South Africa will remain part of the troika of the outgoing chair, the chair and the incoming chair. Will work with the United Kingdom to make sure that the programs that South Africa and the legacy of the South African projects continues when the UK takes over from there, if the US does not take care of those. In any case, the US has already communicated what they will do, but they only have two focus areas, if I recall, and it diminishes everybody's focus areas. But the United Kingdom holds a view that our focus areas, they will proceed with them. They're actively participating also, and next year they also form part of the treaty. So it's neither here nor there for us.
Zimbabwean politician Job Sikhala and his uncle Alexander Tema have been granted 10,000 rand bail by the Pretoria Magistrates Court. The pair face a charge of being in possession of explosives. They were arrested last week while en route to Zimbabwe. Ditaba Tsotitsi reports.
The legal representatives of the two accused told the court that Sikhala has no convictions in South Africa, and if granted bail, he won't interfere with witnesses. However, the magistrate raised the concerns that Sikhala was arrested and convicted in Zimbabwe. He also faced treason charges in that country.
Former Ekurhuleni Divisional Head Xolani Mliza has accused the municipality's top management of doing everything they could to protect suspended acting EMPD Police Chief Julius Mkhwanazi. Mkhwanazi's alleged proximity to suspected cartel member Vusumuzi Matlala has been at the center of Mliza's testimony. Mliza has also accused then City Manager Imogen Mashazi and Human Resource Head Linda Xasheka of actively shielding Mkhwanazi from wrongdoing.
For the first time, I experienced a situation wherein senior management, and I'm going to articulate this further and more succinctly when I deal with what I would call the cover-up. Senior management, for the first time, was hell-bent on protecting an employee, regardless of procedures of the municipality and processes of the municipality. Senior management acted as if they are shop stewards of this employee.
The ANC in the Western Cape Legislature has accused Premier Alan Winde of not taking responsibility in addressing the root causes of gangsterism in the province. This morning, Winde tabled a redacted police ombudsman report into possible links between the police and gangs in the province in the legislature 3 years after its release. ANC MPL Khalid Sayed says the provincial executive has mastered the art of blaming others while taking very little responsibility.
The Premier tells us today that he has done everything within his power. Yet the reality on the ground tells a different story. Children are still being shot, walking to school. Mothers still sleep on the floor to avoid stray bullets. Families still bury loved ones every weekend.
The Kenyan government says about 200 citizens may have joined Russian forces fighting in Ukraine. The Foreign Affairs Ministry says some of those recruited are former members of the Kenyan military. BBC's Richard Gagoe reports.
Kenya's foreign ministry says families have contacted its offices claiming their relatives may have been caught up in the war in Ukraine. It says fake agents have been luring recruits with promises of thousands of dollars without revealing the nature of the work. Many end up deployed to the front lines fighting for Russia. Police say some returnees have come back injured or deeply traumatized. In September, 21 Kenyans are rescued from an apartment complex in Nairobi where they're waiting to be processed. Ukraine's foreign ministry says more than 1,000 Africans from 36 countries are serving alongside Russian forces.
Recapping the top story, Minister in the Presidency Khumbudzo Ntshavheni has played down the absence of the representation from the US at the G20 summit to be held in Johannesburg on the 22nd and 23rd of this month. I'm Mondela Mbara for SFM News Headlines at 2:30.
You could spend 10 minutes on social media or get a 10-minute quote from Outsurance that could save you thousands on your car insurance. For his 2024 GWMP series, 54-year-old Amos now pays only 1,004 Rand a month. And for his 2024 Toyota Urban Cruiser, 55-year-old Andre pays just 776 Rand a month. Ready to get more out of your car insurance? SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Streaming Skim Sum on the way to class.
Catching the Premier League while waiting for your order.
Jamming to Metro FM before you even get out of bed.
On SABC Plus, sinayo yonke into ifunayo. Your shows, your music, your way, anytime, anywhere. Zero subscription fees.
On your phone, tablet, or smart TV.
Download SABC Plus on iOS or Google Play Store.
Clientele is here to safeguard you and your family with compassion because life happens. Be part of a family that truly cares. Our funeral dignity plans have helped South Africans bury their loved ones with dignity for more than 30 years. Let us help you create a meaningful tribute that honors your life and those of your loved ones. We pay out within 24 hours and you will get double accident cover with a clientele funeral plan. Our plans are affordable. Pick the option that suits your needs. Easy to apply, no medical examinations, and no paperwork. SMS SAFM to 48031. That's 48031. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Whether it is a CCMA referral, problems with a mechanic, unfair blacklisting, or an uncontested divorce, Clientele Legal offers professional legal services to all South Africans. Our plans are affordable, and you receive up to 745,000 Rand worth of legal services per year. We cover civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Our nationwide legal teams are standing by to support you 24 hours a day. Plus, all plans include a 5,000 Rand bail benefit. Join today. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
This Monday evening at 7 on My Design Rules. It's all about comfort and style as the duos take on The Lounge. With a fully open plan living area to work with, they'll have to design with intention if they want to bring the kitchen, dining, and lounge together into one cohesive space. And each week is one step closer to the grand prize of up to 600,000 Rand in cash. That's Monday evening at 7, repeat Saturday at 2, and Sunday at 4 p.m. Only on S3.
Ish, at school I was falling behind. They thought I wasn't trying, bruh. Truth is, I couldn't see well, and I felt as small as the words on the board. And then, teacher came to sit with me and realized I needed glasses. Bruh, now everything's changed.
Take time to listen. With enough love and support, children don't just catch up, they thrive.
Visit holdmyhand.org.za.
Together, we can change their future.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable. You receive up to 745,000 Rand worth of legal services per year. Our range of plans include cover for you, your spouse, children, and extended family. Plans include cover for civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Whether it's protection orders, gender-based violence, uncontested divorce, or poor service, your Clientele Legal lawyer will be there to assist you. Our services are convenient. Simply pick up the phone and call your lawyer or send us an email and we'll get back to you. All plans include a bail benefit of up to 5,000 Rand and we'll go to the police station and pay it for you. Plus, Clientele Legal offers you 24-hour telephonic legal advice. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
The Expresso Morning Show has been nominated in 5 categories in the 3rd Annual National Film and Television Awards South Africa.
It all happens on Saturday, the 22nd of November 2025 at the South African State Theatre in Pretoria. And public voting is open from the 13th of October to the 20th of November at midday.
So visit nationalfilmacademy.com, register and vote for Expresso Morning Show in all 5 categories.
Then, of course, catch us weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. right here on S3.
This November, SAFM proudly presents the 3rd annual lecture.
And as the Freedom Charter says, no legitimate government could claim authority unless it is based on the will of the people. And I think sometimes people forget that.
SAFM invites you to our 3rd annual public lecture, delivered by Chancellor of the Nelson Mandela University, Dr. Geraldine Fraser-Moleketi. The theme of the lecture is confronting inequality, corruption and unemployment, rebuilding South Africa's social contract for inclusive and sustainable growth. The lecture will take place on the 27th of November 2025 at the Indaba Hotel, Spa and Conference Center in Fourways, Johannesburg. Secure your seat by emailing us at rsvp@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Extraordinary is built on innovation, and Vodacom Business is leading the way. Cloud that scales with your business. Security that earns trust. AI for smarter, faster decisions. IoT that connects systems and people. And connectivity that bridges every gap. With these technologies working together, Vodacom Business is helping to build a better connected, future-ready South Africa. Visit vodacombusiness.co.za. Together, let's build the extraordinary. Vodacom Business, further together.
Clientele is here to safeguard you and your family with compassion because life happens. Be part of a family that truly cares. Our funeral dignity plans have helped South Africans bury their loved ones with dignity for more than 30 years. Let us help you create a meaningful tribute that honors your life and those of your loved ones. We pay out within 24 hours and you will get double accident cover with a Clientele funeral plan. Our plans are affordable. Pick the option that suits your needs. Easy to apply, no medical examinations and no paperwork. SMS SAFM to 48031. That's 48031. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Attention everybody. Diabetes affects millions of people in South Africa. Akwele is inviting everyone to unite for a healthier tomorrow. Our mission? To beat diabetes together. How? Get tested. Choose water. Eat healthy. Get active. Every bottle of Akwele natural spring water you buy makes a difference. Together, let's beat diabetes.
You are listening to The Full Circle.
All right, so we've made the executive decision and we are going to cross back on over to the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, where the former Ekurhuleni HR boss, Xolani Mnisa, has told the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry that former city manager Dr. Imogen Mashazi abused her powers to protect the suspended EMPD acting chief, Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi. So let's go back there and continue hearing everything that is being shared at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry.
You start off the year having a situation where this employee is facing dismissible offenses. and then end the year by promoting that employee. I've not come across that. This was the first time that I actually have come across such a situation. But in relation to how the actual promotion happened, I raised yesterday that I had problems or issues with how the panel was constituted. But there is this other leg that, Madam Commissioner, you raised about the skipping of the second part of the process of appointment. I referred the Commission yesterday to the LAC judgment that dealt with a recruitment process, and I think it is in the bundle, where the municipality went to the LAC and made an argument. In that instance, this employee had failed in the interviews. Having failed in the interviews, the panel said only the two candidates that had passed in the interviews must go for competency assessments. When those two individuals failed the competency assessments, the acting HOD HR and the then city manager concocted an exceptional recruitment process to take people that had failed the interview without even going back to the panel, people that had failed the interview, and took them to the competency assessment. And on the basis of an individual passing the competency assessment, there was a proposal to appoint that individual into a position who had failed the interview process. And indeed, we went to the LAC, and the LAC agreed that that was wrong. How that entire process was handled was wrong. In this instance, the information that even Chief Mapie testified on talks to, I think it's a flip of that one, where now you have a person who has attended an interview but then doesn't go to competence assessment. And then that person gets promoted without having gone to competence assessments. I have testified that contractual dispensation of heads of departments and the city manager. Everything about their contracts gets reflected into the DH contract, and everything about the recruitment process of HODs gets performed in respect of the appointment of divisional heads. The position of Deputy Chief of Police is equivalent, or is indeed a divisional head level position. And therefore, all divisional head level positions in the municipality since 2003, when it was determined that divisional heads shall have the same contractual dispensation as heads of departments, everybody attends competence assessments. Everybody. It is a policy of the municipality that people must attend competence assessments. And if indeed the allegation that Mr. Mkhonazi did not attend competence assessment is true, then that recruitment process is fatally flawed, and such a promotion is irregular.
That process of attending a competency, so it's a two-legged process. You have the interview and then you have the competency test.
Yes.
Does it also contemplate that after the competency test, the panel or the committee will reconvene for some purpose, or the decision is finally made by whoever when they get the competency test results?
The policy of the municipality is very clear. An appointment is made on recommendation of the panel. Even the regulations. The regulations on the appointment and conditions of service of senior managers in local government are very clear. The appointment of a person is made on recommendation of the panel. So you have the first step where you have got the interview. The panel interviews you. Let's say the panel interviews 5 candidates. I'm honestly a bit baffled by the fact that only 2 candidates were interviewed in this particular process. You have an interview of 5 candidates. You then, as a panel, take a view that the two top scoring candidates must then go for competence assessment. We have not yet recommended a person. It cannot be that you have recommended, because you can't recommend two people for one position. So the people go for competence assessment. You should then come back to the panel to say that these people have gone for competence assessment. These are the results. Then the panel must, by way of resolution of the panel, recommend to the appointing authority. If it's the council that is the appointing authority, which will be in the instance of the municipal manager or HODs, then it must recommend, generate a report to council indicating that this is the process that was followed, and therefore this person is now recommended for appointment. If it's a position like the one of a deputy chief of police, the appointing authority, by way of delegation, is the municipal manager. Then the panel must then sit, say these are the results, and therefore of the people that went to the competence assessments, this is the person, given the outcomes of the interview and the competence assessments as a combined process. Now we're proposing or recommending this individual for appointment.
So do you know how the municipal manager determined that Brigadier Mkhwanazi should be appointed as Deputy Chief of Police? In the absence of the results of the competency assessment and a recommendation from the panel?
My engagements with the chairperson of the panel point to the panel said they interviewed, they sent the people to competence assessment. The HR head, Klashega, then submitted a report to Dr. Mashazi. She then appointed Mkhwanazi, and the chairperson of the interview panel, who was Chief Mapieye, then got told post ex facto that there is an appointment that has been made.
And that, according to you, is irregular?
That's irregular.
Thank you. Ms. Ngliza, you are still dealing with the contents of paragraph 101, but I would ask you to address the commission.
Made on recommendation of the panel. Even what is this? The regulations on the appointment and conditions of service of senior managers in local government are very clear. The appointment of a person is made on recommendation of the panel. So you have the first step where you have got the interview. The panel interviews you. Let's say the panel interviews 5 candidates. I'm honestly a bit baffled by the fact that only 2 candidates were interviewed in this particular process. You have an interview of 5 candidates. You then, as a panel, take a view that the 2 top scoring candidates must then go for competence assessment. We have not yet recommended a person. It cannot be that you have recommended, because you can't recommend 2 people for one position. So the people go for competence assessment. You should then come back to the panel to say that these people have gone for competence assessment. These are the results. Then the panel must, by way of resolution of the panel, recommend to the appointing authority. If it's the council that is the appointing authority, which will be in the instance of the municipal manager or HODs, then it must recommend, generate a report to council indicating that this is the process that was followed, and therefore this person is now recommended for appointment. If it's a position like the one of a deputy chief of police, the appointing authority, by way of delegation, is the municipal manager. Then the panel must then sit, say these are the results, and therefore of the people that went to the competence assessments, this is the person, given the outcomes of the interview and the competence assessments as a combined process. Now we're proposing or recommending this individual for appointment.
So do you know how the municipal manager determined that Brigadier Mkhwanazi should be appointed as Deputy Chief of Police? In the absence of the results of the competency assessment and a recommendation from the panel?
my engagements with the chairperson of the panel point to the panel said they interviewed, they sent the people to competence assessment. The HR head, Klashega, then submitted a report to Dr. Mashazi. She then appointed Mkwanazi, and the chairperson of the interview panel, who was Chief Mapieye, then got told post ex facto that there is an appointment that has been made.
And that, according to you, is irregular?
That's irregular.
Thank you. Ms. Ngeza, you are still dealing with the contents of paragraph 101, but I would ask you to address the Commission on that third sentence in paragraph 101, starting with the word commissioners.
Yeah, like I had indicated, commissioners, that you it's worse because it's still within the same year. We're not talking about some years down the line, and then a person gets promoted after escaping, you know, for lack of a better word, escaping a disciplinary process, you know, on serious allegations. You then have a person going through this funny recruitment process, and then it gets promoted. It's unheard of. I have never experienced it. You know, to such an extent that the regulations, both the municipal staff regulations, I think, as well as the senior managers regulations, stemming from, I might be mistaken, but I think it's section 56, capital letter A, or section 50, roundabout section 56 of the Systems Act. The legislature took a view that there must be some prohibition that is put into the legislation on the appointment of people that have been dismissed. You know, and I know COGTA at some point even raised the issue with especially the metropolitan municipalities to say you're having instances where a person gets charged and the person then resigns and then rocks up at another municipality. You know, so they wanted even to regulate that. So there is this emphasis on the need to curb appointment of persons that have been dismissed for serious allegations like gross dishonesty. This individual had allegations of gross dishonesty. Yes, a process was implemented to quash the processing of those allegations, but nonetheless, the allegations still remain. They are there, and they have never been disproven. You know, no matter what they did, whatever Mashaz and Klashega and Behari did, those allegations have never been disproven. Then you promote the person. The allegations are still lingering. Whatever they have done, the allegations are still lingering. So that's why, for me, it only honestly sent shivers down my spine, you know, to hear that indeed this person has been promoted in the midst of everything that had happened.
And in the paragraph subsequent to that, you detail some developments as they regard IPID. Can I ask you to address the Commission, starting at paragraph 102, please?
Yes. Recall that earlier in my testimony, commissioners, I indicated that as much as there was the Erasmus investigation, there was also an IPID investigation into the Blue Lights scandal. Now, it came to my attention that in December 2023, indeed, IPID handed their report. For that matter, my briefing was that IPID attempted to give the report even to the chief of police, and given what was happening, he advised them to give it to the city manager, but eventually it was given to the executive mayor. And that IPID report had damning findings against Mkhwanazi, and it had directed that an internal disciplinary process be held, and simultaneously it had indicated that it was going to refer the docket to the NPA.
Thank you. And commissioners, just for reference, the full IPID report is attached as JM19 to the Mapiyeye bundle. And Mr. Ngiza, please then proceed to paragraph 103, please.
Yes. Now, as after the IPID report, I came across, and quite honestly, it's funny, commissioners, because this document was widely circulated by Mkhwanazi, Deputy Chief of Police Mkhwanazi, to politicians that are in the municipality, to say that I was cleared.
And apologies, Mr. Ngiza.
That is on 103.
So that is the document on page 344 of your annex.
Yeah, PN 19.
100. That's correct.
I'm not the only person that got to be in possession of this document, commissioners. It was widely circulated within the municipality. And what is on PN 19, in essence, firstly, it was not signed by Advocate Behari. It's one of the many funny things that happens in the municipality when crucial decisions are taken. The incumbent of the position is not there. It's an acting person that signs. His subordinates signed it. There was a person who was acting in his position, and another person was a senior legal advisor at the time. They are the ones that purportedly crafted the letter and signed it. Firstly, the letter disagrees with the findings of IPID relating to corruption and fraud that IPID had concluded against Mkhwanazi. Now, in the absence of any new investigation or new evidence, the letter from these individuals rejects the outcome of the IPID report and says that IPID made material omissions and did not thoroughly investigate. In sum, the city, despite possessing an investigation report to the contrary, makes a finding that, or rather, makes a submission that the IPID findings are incorrect. And now, my problem with this the report or the letter on PN 19 is a letter from the legal department. My expectation of a legal department communication to an agency of the state on a matter that falls within the legal ambit of that state agency, that if indeed you are to write such a letter and advance an argument to the effect that that state agency is wrong, you must rely on council resolutions that you would say, sorry, state agency, your findings against us are wrong because what our employee did is informed by this resolution of the municipality. You must rely on a council policy. You must be able to say, in terms of council policy that was adopted as per this item of the municipality, your findings are wrong because our employee conducted himself in line with the provisions of this policy. You must, as a legal department, commissioners, as a legal department, postulate a view that says, in terms of these laws, this employee that you are saying is corrupt and has conducted himself in a fraudulent manner is covered, his actions are covered in terms of this law. You can read this letter. This letter regurgitates the views that were expressed by Christine that we discussed yesterday on the norm that Christine says was done. You take, for instance, paragraph 5 on 345, where the individuals from the legal department say the registration of the vehicles was not done by the suspect, but by the authorized personnel from Fleet. Stein says clearly in his letter, Mkwanazi came, Mkwanazi provided a donation letter. Mkwanazi this, I facilitated the registration of these vehicles on the basis of Mkwanazi. But the legal department says, therefore, Mkwanazi is not the finding against Mkwanazi. Is wrong.
If I may ask, Mr. Ngwiza, you say in paragraph 103 of your statement, there's a sentence there, it's the third sentence, where you say, in the absence of any new investigation or new evidence, the letter rejects the outcome of the IPID investigation. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay. Can I ask you to turn to page 344 of the letter? Page 344.
Yes.
The last sentence in paragraph 2.
Yes.
Could you read that sentence, please?
It says, I have consulted with internal staff and I'm advised that based on the current evidence, it will be difficult to prove fraud and corruption.
Please comment on the rejection of an external report provided by IPID based on consultation with internal staff, if you have any views on that.
Firstly, it's the internal staff that are supposedly consulted. Commissioners are not listed. They are not listed. The reference in the letter to Stein talks to the letter that Stein, the statement that Stein made in March 2023, which was part of the docket, and indeed, to simply say that they consulted without even indicating who they consulted also doesn't make sense.
You keep saying they, but the author of this document says I. Paragraph 1, I refer to your memorandum. Paragraph 2, I have considered the matter.
Yes.
The paragraph you have just read, last sentence, I have consulted with internal staff. I am advised that based on this and this and that. And then throughout the document, it says that I. Do you know who the author of this document is?
On page 348.
No, because there are two people who have signed, but it's clear from reading this that only one person authored. It's not clear whether the acting HOD simply endorsed the letter or whether he is the author of the letter. So it is really not clear who authored and who made the investigation and who consulted with internal staff.
And that's why, Commissioner, I refer to they.
It does not say we.
Yes.
Because if it said we, then you could say they.
It's difficult for me to say who.
Yeah.
Because, firstly, I had indicated to commissioners that, let's say, if you go to page 3044 at the commencement of the letter, you know, how we write letters, we would have an inquiries person. You know, you look at even the letter that was dated the 22nd of August, signed by the city manager, but we've got an inquiries person, then it tells me that the person who would have been the author, even though the person who owns the document is the city manager, but the author would have been this person. So in this instance, you've got two people that have signed, and it's not even clear exactly who amongst the two people is the author. But for purpose of a hierarchical ownership, let's call it a hierarchical ownership, I would say then the acting HOD as the last signature, you know, because the senior legal advisor is, or the legal advisor is the junior person to the acting HOD. So I would assume, Commissioner, if indeed, if I was to use a singular person, I would say the I would refer to the acting HOD. But it's not apparent from how they've crafted the letter. But if indeed there is to be accountability for this letter, in my view, both of them have to account.
Mr. Ngisa, if I can take you back where you were on page 345 of the letter, and you were dealing with the issue of donation under paragraph 5.
Yes.
But I would like to, still on the issue of donations and the response provided by Mr. Chris Steyn from Fleet, I'd ask you to turn the page to 346 at the top of the page. Do you see the sentence beginning with the inverted commas? Did you then consider?
You see, and again, commissioners, maybe my approach to compliance issues might be different from the people at the legal department. But you don't take a view that there was nothing wrong that the employee did because you are saying to an investigating authority, did you consider that all other donations in EMPD were also non-compliant with the process that you describe? And surely Chief of Police and other senior management, including Deputy Chief Spies, who has lodged this complaint, cannot be ignorant of such donations. Let's assume that indeed they were not compliant. Does that mean, therefore, this one that is also non-compliant must be let go? You know, because that is the suggestion that I read from this, you know.
Please continue in that paragraph.
The minister is, furthermore, according to Steyn, the EMPD was under-resourced at the time. The Chief of Police, Mapia, and Deputy Chief Spies addressed this to effectively and efficiently protect the residents of the city of Ekurhuleni. My God. I'm sorry. We don't write like this as management. We simply don't. This is not a management thought process, let alone a legal department thought process. This is not about protecting the interests of the municipality. I indicated yesterday that if indeed there was a scarcity of resources, there should be a report that is generated. You know, there's a report that must be generated. If there's a scarcity in Kwanasi's division or unit, my expectation is that as a manager, he generates a report, which report at the end of the day, if we are going to go out and source donations, is there to say that indeed there is an acknowledgement by the institution, not by Steyn. Not by Steyn. And they are raising these questions as if now they are saying, if indeed there is anything wrong that has happened, it's Chief Mapia and Chief Spies that have done something wrong.
Lisa, you say management doesn't write this way. At page 348, we do have the names of the people, and you say the letter is widely circulated. The one is Advocate Njabulo Zulu, legal advisor. The other is Thabo Makwiting, acting HOD, corporate legal services. And both their dates are the 13th of December 2023. Apart from, we don't know who is the I that is referred to unless Zulu and Makwiting make one person, and therefore that I. Are these people even legally qualified? Are they employees of the city? I'm asking in all seriousness because this is a nonsense document to when you read it. Just it's bad, and I'm hoping that we can cut through this and just get straight to what this is. Are these people employees of the city, and are they in the legal department? Do they hold degrees, law degrees to qualify them for those positions? Do you know?
Thank you, Madam Commissioner. Yes, Madam Commissioner, these are employees of the municipality employed in the legal department. You know, Advocate Njabulo Zulu, now that you've mentioned the name. Okay, thank you.
These are public officials
Yeah.
in a government institution, and there's nothing wrong in mentioning who wrote a letter.
Thank you, Madam Commissioner. Advocate Njabulo Zulu, in my understanding, is an advocate of the High Court. Before joining the municipality, I'm aware that he was a prosecutor at some point in the National Prosecution Authority. I think possibly he has less than 10 years in the service of the municipality. He has recently been appointed to divisional head position. After this, I think sometime early last year, he was appointed. This was in December 2013, he was a legal advisor, and then sometime last year, he was appointed to divisional head. It's called Specialized Legal Services. And then Thabo Makwiting was a legal advisor in the municipality until October 2023, where he was promoted to the position of divisional head. I'm not sure exactly what is he responsible for, but when he signed this letter, he was 2 months in the position of divisional head. If we were to ask me, Commissioner, what are my thoughts about this letter? My first thought about the letter is that they are not the authors of the letter. My first thought.
Why do you say that, and who do you think authored the letter?
I say that because they were not involved with anything that concerned the Mkhwanazi debacle. It is Advocate Kemi Behar who was involved with the Mkhwanazi debacle. I believe that the letter was prepared, whether they were involved or not, but Advocate Behar would have known about the letter and the preparation of the letter. I believe that then he would have taken leave, and then indeed these two would have signed the letter on his instructions.
In fairness to them, let me just mention part of why I say this is a nonsense document, or it doesn't make sense, at least let me say, is if you look at 346, paragraph 6, this is about the vehicle registrations. And it says, at the time of vehicle registration, the benefit would have accrued to the city had the deal been approved. So there is an acknowledgement that there was no approval, right, of the transaction. And then 2, it says the costs incurred in the registration of vehicles was a step towards obtaining the benefit on behalf of the city, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you then further go on to, and so it says, let me finish off that paragraph. It will be challenging to argue that the registration costs constitute prejudice to the city. But right, we know that that was reversed, right? That registration. The registration cost should not be viewed in isolation, but as part of an entire process. And then if you go to paragraph 8, it says the vehicles were not registered fraudulently as explained above. It is difficult to see how CAT benefited from the registration of the vehicles as they transferred ownership to the city. We know that's not true, right? That
And that's the problem I
they were
have.
never transferred to the
Commissioner.
city.
There was never a transfer.
Okay.
There was never a benefit that accrued to the city at any given point.
Yes.
Even the paragraph 6 that Madam Commissioner was reading, at the time of vehicle registration, because by the time you register the vehicle, the ownership must have transferred. You start first with the ownership before I register the vehicle on the system. We deal with the issue of ownership. You know,
Yes.
if indeed there is a donation of a vehicle, before we go and run and register this vehicle, I must first have the ownership of the vehicle. We must deal with whatever transaction that must be entered into, where indeed you transfer the ownership to me and then we register the vehicle on the system.
Yes.
The registration thing is a system thing, but the actual transference of ownership has not happened at any given point. You know, and that is the nub of this problem. There was never, because the processes, and it's worse, a legal department effectively says indeed there was no compliance with the policies of the municipality.
Yes.
They agree in paragraph 7. Failure to comply with internal policies relating to donations does not translate to fraud.
Yes.
So there is a failure to comply with internal policies. So even if it does not translate to fraud, let's give them that it does not translate to fraud, but it translates to misconduct. It translates whether it's they were negligent in terms of their non-compliance with the policies, or they were dishonest in not complying with the policies. But there is a clear misconduct with non-compliance with policies. Now, if a legal department will write something like this, and then tomorrow we want to go and discipline employees for non-compliance with policies,
Yes.
I mean, our employees will just simply say, but why does HR want to discipline me when the legal department actually doesn't find anything wrong with non-compliance to policies? They even wrote a letter to IPED, a legislated body that conducts investigations, that, you know what, your finding of non-compliance to policies is irrelevant. You know, that's why, I call this a funny letter. You know, I heard Madam Commissioner even using a nicer word of a nonsensical letter. You know, but what does this mean, therefore? And I think the point that I wanted to raise with the Commission, Council, if I'm allowed, the way that this letter is crafted as a defense letter. This letter is crafted to say, you know what, IPED, leave Julius alone. This letter resonates with what happened in the telephone call of the 23rd of May, 2023. In the telephone call, I was instructed, Mutluhele Julius, leave him alone. In this letter, the essence of what is here is to tell IPED, leave Julius alone. He has done nothing wrong. Actually, if there is anybody that must be looked at, is to look at the Fleet Management Department, you must look at my PAA, you must look at SPIS, look at everybody else. Leave Julius alone.
Maybe finally, I mean, the letter says 347, at page 347, paragraph 11. It says, respectfully, the suggestions, and I underline suggestions, of IPED, given such material omissions and failure to thoroughly investigate risks the city in any further processes herein. Then 12 says, please respond within the next 10 days. Now, the report that we have seen, and if you are aware of another report from IPED, this is your chance to say. The report that we have seen doesn't contain suggestions. It contains findings and a recommendation to act. So are you aware of another report that contains suggestions that can be responded to?
Madam Commissioner, in my history, I've never come across an IPIT report that is suggestions. I've never. A suggestion is to say change the way you're doing things and do them this way. IPIT is not that type of an institution. They would not have authority to make suggestions to a municipality.
There's no way that they could have the author of this letter could have misunderstood that IPID was making suggestions, at least on the report that we saw. It makes findings and recommendations of what action must be taken.
I'm trying to look for the right English word, but the closer response would be bayageza, sisgeza, and no, I'm not sure would the right English word be they were silly. Mrs. They were just being silly. Because to take it further, that paragraph 11 talks about the failure to thoroughly investigate risks the city in any further processes herein. IPIT says discipline. Discipline. That's all. And I don't know why people are so scared about discipline. You know, discipline it's a normal process of an employment contract or of an employment relationship. Subject an employee to discipline where there are questions about the employee's conduct. That's all. Let the employee go and respond. Let it be Mkwanazi that goes and says, you know what, there is nothing wrong. We've been doing this with my PA and peace. That's my expectation. It must be Mkwanazi who leads that evidence in the disciplinary inquiry. He's the one that must go and tell the chairperson of the disciplinary inquiry that what is being raised with me is inconsistent with the conduct of the department, not the legal department raising that. So what would come out of a disciplinary process that risks the seat is that Mkwanazi gets dismissed and Mkwanazi institutes an unfair dismissal dispute. So we go and defend it.
Thank you.
There's no risk.
Thank you, Mr. Lisa.
And just to close on this, commissioners, to me, this letter on all fours is a letter that at page 348, the person who would have written this letter, all things being equal, would have been the regional secretary of the trade union. The person who would have signed here, given the content of the letter, you know, a regional secretary of a trade union would be raising all these issues to say, you are wrong, employer, you can't do this, this way, our member this, our member that. This is what this means to me. These people were just shop stewards of Mkwanazi.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Ngiza, in light of those remarks in respect of IPID, I would then ask you to turn the page to page 32. You are on paragraph 104, please. 104.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, commissioners. 104. I wanted to inform the commission that on the actually it's not the 8th, it's the 22nd of March. It's just that the letter is dated the 8th, but the actual service of the letter was on the 22nd of March. And my understanding of labor law is that a termination of employment occurs upon service of the termination on the employee, not on the date that the letter is dated, because there cannot be a retrospective termination of employment. So if I may correct, the letter is dated the 8th, but the actual service of the letter via a firm of attorneys occurred on the 22nd of March 2024. And therefore, my 26 years of service in the municipality was summarily terminated on that date.
It's actually dated the 7th, but it says the effective date of termination is the 8th.
Yes. That is the the supposed date that the letter was signed on. And I would say it's supposed date,
the next page, yeah.
Commissioner, because on the 8th, I was called, and there's an area where I actually tabulate my experiences. I was called by an inspector, I think it was De Villiers, who requested that indeed I must meet him at my offices. I must bring the office keys and I must send them over, and I must take possession of a letter. When I got there, the letter was not signed. That was on the 8th. Hence, I say the supposed signing date was supposedly the 8th. But on the 8th, the letter was not signed. And De Villiers went around looking for the acting city manager, and they couldn't find him. And then eventually, after about 2:02 in the afternoon, they indicated that, you know what, we can't find this gentleman, so the letter cannot be signed. When the letter gets signed, we'll indicate to you.
On the top stories, Malahleni municipality fined millions for environmental crimes, and Chabeni speaks on absence of U.S. officials at the G20 summit. For SFM News, I am Ondilambana, and a very good afternoon. The Malahleni local municipality in Mpumalanga has been fined 650 million rand for environmental crimes committed between March 2019 and March 2025. The High Court in Mpumalanga found the municipality guilty of unauthorized waste disposal, water pollution, and failure to comply with environmental regulations. The municipality allowed untreated sewage to overflow into rivers and streams, causing significant environmental damage and health risks. The fine includes 500 million rand to be used for rehabilitation and repair of wastewater infrastructure. NPA spokesperson Monica Nyuswa.
These offences were committed between March 2019 and March 2025. The National Prosecuting Authority welcomes the finalization of this matter and reaffirms its commitment to prosecuting environmental crimes without fear, favor, or prejudice. Offences of this nature contribute to climate change, water contamination, and air pollution, posing serious risks to both the environment and public health.
The Chief of Staff of the Police Ministry, Cedric Nkabinde, who is a witness before Parliament's ad hoc committee, has come under fire from MPs being misleading. The committee is looking into allegations of criminal infiltration, corruption, and political interference in the justice system. Nkabinde had trouble providing clarity to the committee on the sequence of events when he made contact with the controversial Northwest businessman Brown Mokhodzi. During an exchange with EFF leader Julius Malema, Nkabinde told MPs that because he did not have his gadgets with him when writing his statement, he could not give accurate dates.
Did you have your gadgets when you were writing this affidavit?
No, dates I was thumb sucking.
Some of these things are going to come across as being lies under oath because you didn't have the equipment. So this information written here, it's not worth the paper written on because it's thumb-sucked.
Former City of Ekurhuleni Divisional Head Xolani Nxiza has detailed the moments leading up to his suspension in September 2023. Nxiza believes that his suspension was related to the pressure that he received from then City Manager Dr. Imogen Mashazi, who demanded that he lift Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi's suspension. The unlawful fitting of blue lights on the private vehicles of alleged cartel member Vusumuzi Ketmatlala, which were authorized by Mkhwanazi, have been at the center of Nxiza's testimony. Nxiza has told the Madlanga Commission that he believes his suspension had nothing to do with his academic qualifications.
And then, boom, the next day, you get served with a suspension letter. And even though the suspension letter speaks to issues about qualifications, those issues, in my view, had been dealt with. But nonetheless, we get issued this. Now, fine, you get issued with the suspension letter, primarily because, in my view, I had raised critical issues in my letter that was served on the city manager's office on the 29th of August.
Minister in the presidency, Khumbudzo Ntshavheni,